Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into a Premier League showdown, Aston Villa versus Brighton. But forget the usual pundit chatter. We're going to let a powerful AI crunch the numbers and see if it can predict the winner. Let's get into it.
All right, so what's the deal with this game? Is it a classic home field win for Villa? Or could Brighton pull off an upset on the road? We're going to let our AI detective, Spectra, dig into the data and see what clues it can find.
Okay, let's set the scene. The matchup, Villa versus Brighton at Villa Park. And the conditions on the day, they can be a real game changer, sometimes just as important as who's in form. So, picture this, a classic, chilly, damp night in Birmingham. Yep, there's a good chance of rain, which means that pitch is going to be slick. That ball could be skidding around, and you better believe that's going to affect how this game is played.
Okay, so before we even get to the AI's take, let's size these two teams up ourselves. We're going to start with a look at their core strength, which really gives us a solid baseline of how they've been doing. So, on one side, you've got Aston Villa, playing at home. On the other, Brighton, the visitors. Seems simple, right? But there's a deeper story here. To really get it, we need to look at a number that tells us who's really the stronger team on paper. Check this out. This is Aston Villa's ELO rating. Now, if you're not familiar with ELO, just think of it like a power level for football teams. It goes up when they win, down when they lose, and it even considers how tough their opponent was. A higher number means a better team, and Villa's number here, it's pretty darn solid. And now look at Brighton's. See that gap? Over 40 points. That, right there, is our first big clue. In the world of ELO ratings, that's not just a little difference. It's a huge sign that, on paper at least, one team has a serious edge. But hold on, it's not that simple. ELO ratings are one thing, but then you've got the injury report. This throws a real wrench in the works. Villa's got big gaps in their midfield, Brighton's defense is hurting. This is where it gets messy. And this is exactly the kind of chaos our AI is built to analyze. So you've got different strengths, key players out. How do you even begin to figure this out? Well, that's where Spectra, our AI, steps in. And get this, it's not just one single program. Think of it more like a whole committee of AI experts, all working on the problem.
The secret sauce here is what's called an ensemble model. It's kind of like asking a panel of experts for their opinion instead of just one person. Each AI has its own way of looking at the data, and by combining all their insights, you get a way more reliable prediction. It's all about teamwork.
And here's the team. You've got some heavy hitters in here, like random forest and artificial neural networks. You don't need to know exactly how they work, just that each one looks at the game from a totally different angle. They're all crunching a ton of data points to come up with their own take before they all, vote on the final outcome. All right, the moment of truth. What did this AI panel decide after looking at everything? This is where all that complex analysis gets boiled down to some simple, hard numbers. And there it is. The AI is giving Aston Villa a massive 60% chance to win this thing. A draw is sitting at about 29%, and a Brighton win? That's a long shot, down around 11%. So that big ELO gap we saw earlier, yeah, the AI thinks it's the real deal. And this isn't just a gut feeling. It's backed up by what's called expected goals, or XG. Basically, it measures the quality of a team's scoring chances. The AI thinks Villa's going to create enough good chances to score almost 3 goals. That's nearly double Brighton's number. So it's pretty clear who the AI expects to be on the attack. But it gets even cooler. The AI didn't just stop there. It actually simulated the match 10,000 times. And what was the most common result? A 2-1 win for Aston Villa. The next most likely score was 3-1, another Villa win. The evidence is really starting to pile up, isn't it? Okay, let's put it all together and get to the final prediction. After all that number crunching, what's the bottom line? So when you take everything into account, the higher ELO rating, all the different AI models agreeing, those thousands of simulations, the conclusion is, well, it's pretty clear. The data is screaming for a home team victory. And here's the main takeaway. Look, anything can happen in football, right? But based on all the analysis, that 2-1 scoreline in favor of Aston Villa, that's the single most probable outcome. Okay, so the AI has spoken, but before we sign off, we have to talk about something really important. What does a prediction like this actually mean? And this is super important, so listen up. This whole explainer is for entertainment. AI analysis is an amazing tool. It gives us incredible insights, but it's not a crystal ball.
These are just probabilities, not guarantees. It's all just for fun. And look, if you or anyone you know ever needs help, just remember there are free and confidential resources available around the clock. Playing responsibly is always, always the smartest bet you can make.
It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? If an AI can break down a football match to this level of detail, what's next? It's just a fascinating glimpse into that blurry line between what data can predict and, the beautiful chaos of the game itself.